Hello and welcome to the Digital Motorsports Indy 2000 Amateur League. We are just prepping for this final race of the championship. We've got a couple of races up for you tonight, but we are just gridding up at the moment. My name is Sam Spatch, and alongside me is Jack Canan with Sam Kume on the cameras. And it's Rory O'Shea who's taken pole position. Naveed Hussain is alongside on the front row of the grid. The revs are rising, and away we go for the start of this 10-lap race. And it's O'Shea with a stormer of a start. McKenna getting ahead of Hussain off the line. Masterson in 4th place, Graben gaining a place. Poor start for Hedeman. He's down 3 places already as they go alongside into turn 1. O'Shea holding on to the lead, half a second clear. There's been a little bit of an incident further back. James Clark and João Montero both in the gravel and seemingly not getting back onto the track anytime soon, almost doing donuts as coming out of the pits. I think getting ahead of the pair of them could have been Johnny McMullen, who started from the pit lane. O'Shea still leading the way though, 0.4 of a second ahead of Naveed Hussain. In fact, it's the top 4 back to how they started, and it's Kevin Shine up 2 places, and somehow Rob O'Neill and Dave Collier up 4 places each. And they're currently battling against one another. Collier round the outside through turn 3. And there's some massive splits already between the order. Hedeman is now going to get past Collier. Had an awesome launch, was up 5 places initially, but almost looks like he's going back down the order now as off the circuit goes Hedeman. He just has to concede that place. Jack, it's fantastic to be here at Road America. It's been a really fun series of digital motorsports today, and we're going to be able to watch 4 races tonight to decide the last couple of championships.
Yeah, exactly. It was obviously with the drop round involved as well. It's actually Rory O'Shea leading the championship now ahead of Naveed Hussain. So every little bit of action tonight counts, and Rory O'Shea is in the box seat. Naveed Hussain needs the wins tonight, and he needs to get a move on and get it done.
Absolutely, as they go alongside for the race lead, Hussain ahead of O'Shea. Now, that's not going to be the end of this battle, I'm sure. This is such a heavy slipstream circuit round this track that O'Shea's going to have a fantastic opportunity at coming back. Some of the highest slipstream cars in all of iRacing are these. And here comes O'Shea. Looks to the inside, has to go to the outside. Very narrow circuit, of course, Road America, a proper old school circuit. And so it's not necessarily easy to find the inside line. Outside can work through turn 1. It just puts Hussain offline. But look at that, how McKenna immediately closes in by half a second or so just by them going alongside for 1 corner. And he's right onto the back of them. He's going to have a fantastic chance. Here comes O'Shea again. Down the back straight, under the cheese board. It's changed a little bit with this latest iteration of this circuit on iRacing. And it's still an iconic piece of spoonery as alongside goes O'Shea to the outside again. Hussain knows where to position his car and he stays ahead, but now and now there's a spin for McKenna, and he was looking so good, was McKenna, in 3rd place, comfortably in 3rd place, just watching the front 2 at risk of taking each other out, and he's made the mistake and he drops all the way back to 6th place, and that is a massive relief for the top 2 because McKenna was really looking like a rival. McKenna now half a second behind Graben, so just going to have to try to pick these guys one by one off, and he's going to have to re-engage, but that's a very strange mistake from a pretty consistent driver in Patrick McKenna. He's going to have Sergei Graben first to deal with, and then it will be Shine and Masterson. Fastest first sector, by the way, for Hussain, who's absolutely storming along. He's going to struggle to do that now. Remember, it's going to be a full reverse grid when we later on. 15 cars get reversed. We've got 15 cars on the circuit today as there goes Shine. Gets real squeezed on the inside when he went for that move on Masterson. And he had to stay behind, but there's not really much of a point of making a move into counter corner because you're going to be left so vulnerable down the pit straight and then into turn 3 as well. So tricky to break the draft. We saw it at Watkins Glen, and this is that on steroids, frankly. McKenna tries to nip out of the draft, but he's not going to have any speed, and he's going to have to duck back in behind Graben. And here comes Graben now to the inside of Shine. Shine, who wasn't quite getting a big enough toe from Masterson. Ahead as McKenna. Was there contact there between McKenna and Graben? Graben having to cut the circuit. And McKenna does move up a place, although the stewards may get involved in that one and decide a penalty is needed. McKenna does move up into 5th place, and now is one car going. You can see the tight battle just behind. By the way, the two leaders still very close to one another. Hussein and O'Shea, they are very evenly matched, not breaking the draft, so I'm sure we will go back to them later on in the race. I imagine that's going to come down to the last couple of corners. Meanwhile, O'Neill trying to progress against Collier. Collier up 5 places as he had a big spin, and we got another spin at that corner. We saw Dean Powell have a mare down at that corner in the Apex Racing League GT Championship the other day, and it's Collier on this occasion who's had a mare, and he drops down to 10th place. That's 3 places gone for Collier after a strong start. There's only silver lining. It does mean will be starting a little bit further up on the grid for race 2, it looks like. Hussein trying to break the draft out in the lead. O'Shea, though, still half a second behind her from that distance back. It's only a matter of time to getting close back in. I recommend opening up the live timing link in the description below, provided by SDK Gaming, and you can see the gaps between the drivers. But it's really interesting to look at the gap come down a straight, and from half a second back he gained about 1/10.5 did O'Shea, just on the run to Canada Corner, from the kink to Canada Corner. That's the strength of the slipstream around this circuit. I think McKenna now back up into 3rd place, so after that spin he's managed to get himself back to that 3rd place very quickly, it must be said as well, just showing how quick he is. But that mistake has definitely denied him a good chance, a very good chance at this race win. And Masterson is now going to try to come back. McKenna puts his car in the middle of the circuit. That's what you've got to do into turn 1. But, oh, and now there's a massive contact, and off into the wall is Masterson. That could have been a net code between the two cars, and looks as though he's damaged that wheel. That's not net code net code damage. That is a proper tyre off. And that's a huge shame for Pat Masterson, who has run the majority of this race up in the top 3, as the leaders are alongside O'Shea, nearly getting his nose ahead. Hussein just blocking his car on the inside every single time, and with no risk of McKenna anymore. Well, McKenna now back behind Shine, that is. McKenna 5 seconds behind. Pretty much fight as much as they like for this 10-lap race or 23-minute race, and still be confident that they will end up on top. That's what it looks like at the moment. 5 seconds between 1st and 3rd place as Kevin Shine now into the top 3 for the first time, as a big slide for Patrick McKenna, and that nearly was another spin for the driver who spun out earlier on. McKenna drops back to 5th place, and it's just showing how tricky it seems this car is to control around this circuit. 6 seconds still clear of Nathan Healy, thankfully for McKenna. He's got about 1.5 seconds to catch up to the drivers ahead. Shine and Graben really close. I think Graben's going to move up into 3rd place. No, Graben nearly loses it. I mean, I question how hot the track temperature is out there for the drivers today. It's 42 degrees track temperature. That is warm. That is very warm. And we saw it at, usually the track gets warm and warm. We saw it at Watkins Glen. The drivers really struggling by the end of race 2. As the track temperature gets up into the mid-40s, I think it's going to get into that similar range today. And so if they're struggling now, they're going to be struggling even more when they come to the end of the day, as Hussein is under more pressure from O'Shea than ever before. O'Shea down the inside for 2. And he is ahead. For the first time in a little while, Rory O'Shea was pole sitter, remember. Lost the lead on lap 2. But now he takes it back. However, this is all just sacrificing your pawns very early on in a chess match, frankly. I say that as though I know anything about chess. I don't get it. But that does seem to be a decent analogy for this, because it doesn't matter too much who's leading at this part of the race. It just matters who's leading at the end. But they need to make sure they don't make contacts as well. It is going to be O'Shea who leads for now, although Hussein's got a inside line for turn 5. Did back out of it though, which was certainly the wise thing to do. So okay, Graben 5.5 seconds behind these guys. Already McKenna's caught back up to these drivers, which is extremely impressive from McKenna. 2 minute 3.3 2.3, although that was with a spin, as we see from the right shoulder cab. So easy flat in these high downforce, relatively low power. I think they do still have approximately 400 brake horsepower. That's how easy it is to make a move around this circuit. Hussein back ahead, and that's probably what we're going to see on the last lap. In fact, he may even be able to get the run to the line. Let's see from the onboard for O'Shea how close he can get to potentially. Oh, in fact, actually, I think we might have to go back to... no, should be able to stick with this, to be fair, because there has been some whizzing down, and Graben has had an off. Graben's in the wall. Sergei Graben. It's another casualty from that fight, and look at that as well. It's oh, sorry, is that just a replay of Graben a few moments ago? And that was with McKenna. It was with McKenna. And what could have been for him? He will get the car back to the pits, Patrick McKenna. I saw something was happening with the relative, but then I looked back and there weren't really any places changing. And that was because they were all in the wall, because they all weren't changing positions, because they'd all lost just as much time. And it means that James Clark is now up into 4th place, Healy in 5th, up 10 places from last place on the grid. Nathan Healy, DMS Racing, up into 5th place. That's largely thanks to just keeping it clean. Admittedly, he's not slow. He was only 0.8 of a second slower than the leaders on that last lap. And of course, they are going at quite a pace. Oh, has O'Shea been held up? No, I thought it might be really bogged down through turn 5 right there. But he got through pretty quick. Hussein was retaking the lead. And O'Shea is at risk now of dropping out of the draft. We usually see the draft kicking in about 0.9 of a second behind. The gap is now 0.9. And so, well, check out the SDK live timing, frankly. Because if you want to see if the gap is coming down or not, then look at that. But now Hussein's tactics of breaking the draft, we saw that, we're going to see that in the Indy 500, I believe, next week. And you know what? O'Shea does still close in. He gets the gap back down to 0.8 of a second. But it's clear that Hussein is faster. Now, O'Shea's got to absolutely nail these last couple of corners and then dip into the draft on down these next 2 straights, and he might be able to catch up by the time they get into turn 3. There he goes again, just trying to change the line. Hussein, the gap's up to 1.1, and I think that is breaking the draft. The gap is increasing, in fact. So O'Shea is dropped back too far, and that looks as though that could decide this race. You know what? O'Shea still is closing in a little bit, getting a few hundreds, but not nearly enough. And in every single one of these points, Hussein is faster. Fastest lap of the race, 2 minute dead, 0.3. And that was excellent for Navis, who's saying he should have one hand on this race as long as he doesn't make a mistake, which we have seen from him before in this championship, and we've seen it from plenty of drivers already today. But yeah, gap's up to 1.3. In fact, the majority of the battles have mainly been sorted out. We've only got one driver sat in the pits. It's Johnny McCullen at the moment. And I wonder if we could go back to that incident we had in the battle for 3rd place just a couple of laps ago, which involved Masterson and maybe it wasn't Masterson, apologies. I think it was McKenna and Graben. Maybe he tried to find a replay of exactly what happens on that occasion, because it really has made a big difference. It was a bit of a clumsy one. One driver closing in, the other driver perhaps not backing out, and well, they both lose out massively from it. And there was the damage on McKenna's car. McKenna, it'll be actually, you know what, it'll be interesting to see what McKenna's lap times are, because he's looked quick throughout this race. I think he is very quick. So if he's got some good pace in this in the closing stages, then that'd be a good indication that he's possibly the favourite to win the race 2, which is coming up in a little while. It's going to be double the length, I believe. Or certainly is going to be longer than race 1. We've covered this series for quite a few weeks now, and still haven't got absolutely nailed down, but we know that it is going to be a bit longer, and we know that it's going to be a full reverse grid because we've got 15 cars signed up for this race, and it's going to be a 15-car reverse grid. Hussein absolutely dominating. He might get under the 2-minute barrier. Interesting that these are very comparable lap times to what we saw in the APS Racing League GT Championship the other day. and that's in GTE cars. So these things maybe a second or two faster around this circuit than GTE cars. And you think that GTE cars would be faster around a circuit like this. You think of the long straights we have around this track, the extra power output of those GTE cars, that the fastest GTE cars really in the world. And yet these things can keep up well. It just shows how fantastic they are through the corners, and the fact that they have got some good straight line speed as well. Of course, absolutely, probably half the weight of the GTE cars as well are these machines. And 2 minute point 2 for Hussein that last lap. We might see the 2 minute barrier being broken as the fuel, of course, escapes the car. The track should be getting a bit warmer as well. It should be added. But the times just seem to be getting better and better. And of course, the tyres as well will be getting worn down as the race progresses. But the lap times are still strong. Some personal bests being set at the moment across the field. In fact, Kevin Shine was another driver who set a personal best on that last lap. Patrick McKenna, 2 minute 1.27, about 1 second slower than the race leader. As we see a little bit of Kevin Shine. I want to ride on board a little bit with Kevin Shine. Actually, I always find this this part of the circuit almost a the crowds, the trees kind of surrounding the circuit. I forgot what you call that. When you got a street and you got the trees on either side. I forget what you call that. But it is like that. I'm sure you agree. And also in the winter, on the autumn time as well, when you turn a little bit brown for many of these trees, it does look fantastic as well. But it's not bad. On board with Kevin Shine, because it looks as though he's going to get a podium. He's keeping James Clark at arm's distance away from him at the main. In fact, Clark just had a poor final corner, so opens up the gap a little bit more as well. 2 minute 1.9 that last lap for Shine. In fact, 2/10 faster than Clark. So it does just open it up a little bit more for the Irish driver. All Irish drivers apart from Jean Montero, the Portuguese, and Sergei Graben, the Colombian, I believe. However, Sam Kume may want to whisper in my ear because I'm looking at that flag and I'm not 100% confident it is what I say, but we might be able to get to the bottom of that one. We have no idea. I am the person who thought that the Danish flag was the Norwegian flag the other day on Sunday. So I have made mistakes in that category in recent days. So certainly would not want to do that again. As we are getting pretty close. So we're Lithuanian, apologies. They're similar though. They're similar to the Colombian flag. So don't know. Apologies to Sergei. I did think it's not a very Colombian name. It's not like Shakira, is it? I mean, that's the bog standard Colombian name, isn't it? But grabbing up into 11th place now because Healy's just come into the pits for DMS Racing. So shame for Healy. In fact, Healy was way further up. Or wasn't he? Healy was up into 5th place. So I wonder if we could get a replay of what happened to Healy. Because he was up 10 places from his start, from his starting place of 15. He was up into 5th, and he's now dropped down to 12th. Apologies that we maybe didn't quite catch that one, because that was quite a big part. However, struggling to find it at the moment. We may have found it now. Here is Nathan Healy. Oh, there we go, the spin, and then hard into the tyres. And towing back straight away. So Nathan Healy, who I believe was in 5th place, and he drops down. The reason why it didn't pop up as we actually have a race control decision. Lap 5 incident involving car number 8 and 14. Under investigation, you might see a decision from that later on in the event. Car number 8 is Patrick McKenna. Car number 14 is Sergei Graben. So that would have been the incident we saw coming out of Canada Corner. We saw quite early on. The race leaders are on their last lap. Nathan Healy trying to catch up to Sergei Graben. However, I think Graben should have the pace to stay ahead of his Irish rival, as we've got a spinner as well. I think that was Masterson just having a quick loop round. But Naveed Hussain has been absolutely phenomenal in this race. He didn't take pole position, which was a small surprise for a fantastic qualifier, of course. He's driven superbly ever since. And he got the lead from Rory O'Shea. And then once O'Shea lost that gap, it only had to open up to about 0.7 of a second. Then Hussain wasn't losing enough down the straight, so he could make up the gap through the corners. Once he got it up to 1.5 seconds, it was pretty much game, set, and match. And Naveed Hussain, with an over 2-second lead advantage, is going to approach the line, and he's going to take the final race 1 of the season. Naveed Hussain, the 007, wins race 1 at Road America. Congratulations to him. Rory O'Shea, a close second. In the championship, I think will go down to the last race of the evening. Kevin Shine is going to finish in a very impressive 3rd place. From 7th on the grid, Shine. You had to wait for the others to make mistakes, but that big pack for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th in the end had issues. And James Clark does a 2:08 on the last lap, which is a very good time. That was about a second faster than what he was doing before. If James Clark did that a bit earlier, he would definitely have caught up for the podium places, but still, take nothing away from Kevin Shine. Is there going to be an overtake further down? Hedeman catching up to McMullen, but they're on the run to the final corner, I think, now, so that's not going to happen. Hedeman was taking out 3 seconds on the last lap to McMullen, who scores a good 7th place for McMullen. Hedeman at least will be one of the favourites for race 2. And still got McKenna, Montero, and Graben all to reach the line. McKenna finishes in 9th place. He'll be starting in 7th for the reverse grid, provided that Johnny McMullen does take the start. Who retired quite early on, did Johnny McMullen, so hopefully he's still in the server. Yeah, once hopefully he'll take the start, and we could see a very entertaining race 2. I don't think in the amateur championship, I don't think we've seen it in the pro championship either, frankly. Maybe we've seen it in the pro championship. I don't think we have, though. A double, where you win both race 1 and race 2. In the amateur category, I'm almost certain we haven't seen that so far. As race control, instant involving car number 8 and 14, post-race penalty for car number 14. So that will mean that the order for the reverse grid stays the same, but there will be a post-race penalty, maybe a points penalty. I assume for one of them, so that is McKenna or Graben. Not sure who collided into who. That it looked as though the two kind of merged into one, coming out of Canada corner. So the stewards have made a call on that one, though, which is the smart thing to do to give that post-race penalty. Otherwise, you don't want to give the Joe Yukada penalty an advantage for the reverse grid. Anyway, Naveed Hussain takes the race win then, 2 seconds clear of Rory O'Shea. Kevin Shine finishes in 3rd place. Then it was James Clark, Rob O'Neill, Dave Collier, Damien McMullen, Ronan Hedeman, Patrick McKenna, João Montero, Sergey Graben, Nathan Healy, Pat Masterson, he was 1 lap down, Shane Connolly was 1 lap down, and Johnny McMullen didn't finish. He ended up 6 laps down on the race leader after a collision in the opening few laps. We've now got the warm-up session going on, and so soon we'll turn over to race 2 of the evening. Of course, a reminder to visit digitalmotorsports.com, because you can get some info on sim racing rigs that you could go invest in. If you say invest in, then I think it sounds better, doesn't it? Which you can invest in. And also, of course, sign up for future seasons, because there's a couple of different sims that Digital Motorsports holds leagues on. And once this season's over, we might have next season as well. That we're going to be broadcasting on the iRacing Esports Network and on Apex Racing TV and all sorts. So certainly, if you want to sign up for next season, go on digitalmotorsports.com and keep an eye on the future seasons that are put up. Not quite sure what car is going to be chosen, what tracks are going to be chosen for next season, but it should still be really good. to take part in. It's one of the best series I think we broadcast, so I certainly do recommend getting involved in that one. We might also have someone joining us in the commentary box relatively soon. In fact, I think we do. Austin Knight. Austin Knight, you're saving me from my sanity. You're saving the audience for their sanity, frankly, because I've been going absolutely mad so far by myself. Welcome to the commentary box.
Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. It's great to be here on this lovely Wednesday afternoon at Road America. We're going green.
We are going green. So here we go for race 2, the final race of the season, and it's Johnny McMullen pulling away from the order. It's going to be a tight run though, down into turn 1. Johnny McMullen against Shane Connolly. Remember, full reverse grid from what we saw in race 1. Are they all going to get through cleanly? It can be a troublesome turn 1, as we saw in race 1, of course. But so far, they've kept Faye in the same order. In fact, Rory O'Shea's gone up 6 places. O'Shea up 6 places. And yeah, that's absolutely incredible. A couple of drivers running wide as well. Oh, we got some contact there with the car number 19 and spinning round, and they do spin round eventually. And then we have 3 cars with big contact. That's O'Shea, who has such a wonderful start, did O'Shea. And he's been caught up in that one. Shine and Clark as well, 2 of the top drivers from race 1. Both getting involved in that one. Massive shame for those guys. And also now I've had another incident, I think at turn 3, where Hussein is up into 9th place, but still not totally convincing. Damien McMullen's had a spin, but also Montero, Clark still's going round there, take each other out there. But this is great news for Hussein. We did have a quick word. I think Jack let us know maybe at the start of the broadcast or just before the broadcast what the championship situation was. I can't quite recall it at the moment, but we do know that it's O'Shea versus Hussein out there for the title. We'll try to get you some info on that one pretty soon, as Shane Connolly going defensive against Graben. McMullen with a 1.6 second lead at the moment. He's pulling away from the rest of the order. And whilst these guys fight, that's really helping him along. Oh, there's contact, and the leader's off as well. And who's going to take the lead? They're smashing into one another. McKenna was in front. I think Hussein may have made contact as well. McMullen, despite taking a big detour there, I think he headed off into Canada right there. Oh, and he's into the wall again.
Oh, no!
McMullen into the wall. Johnny McMullen from the lead. He makes 2 mistakes, and that's a massive error from him. Masterson into the lead. He starts in 3rd place. However, he is alongside Sergey Graben currently, who is going to lead going into turn 1. You can see that opening lap so slow for the drivers, 10 seconds slower, admittedly with the rolling start, but still, there's a very slow first lap for the drivers. Such is the instance, and it's Graben who now leads after starting in 5th place.
Yeah, it was an absolutely horrible start right there. But Graben and Matheson having a drag race, but don't count out Collier in 3rd. But Graben defending out to the inside. Matheson looking around to the outside. Grabier is just sitting around in 3rd place as it's a drag race here at Road America. Going onto the inside. Graben almost being pinched down there as they're heading into turn 3. Hard onto the brakes. Graben down to the inside. Matheson around the outside. But Graben back down to the inside to retain 1st.
Hopefully we'll have this all race long. Graben holding on. In 4th place is Naveed Hussein, who I think may have made contact with that incident at Canada Corner. I think he got held up. But Hussein, if he could win this race, I think that would secure the championship. But I think we'll only be sure about that post-race, admittedly. But it's Graben leading. Masterson in 2nd place. Collier waiting behind in 3rd. And Hussein's almost on the back of these guys. Hussein's so quick in race 1. And he's got to be the favourite right now. However, he hasn't got a double all season long. Hussein's been it has won, I think, every single race 1 Hussein has won. But he's done he's really struggled in the race 2s, as Hussein. Hasn't won any of them so far this season. Barely finished on the podium as well. But he's got a great opportunity to do that today as Graben runs a little bit wide. And if you're Collier in this situation, you're feeling very good because you're going to have a double slipstream on the pack.
Yeah, Collier is in a great opportunity to get a very good double slipstream, but he does have Hussein right behind him. But Graben and Madison both will going off track, and Madison to the wall!
Mistakes galore. Masterson into the wall, and he will need repairs. It's Graben then, who still leads. Collier is going to be done, I think, by Hussein. Collier will stay in the draft for a bit longer. Hussein has got to take his time. We did see this at Watkins Glen, he took his time, and eventually still got caught up in an instant, Hussein. But he's got all the time in the world. He's got a second a lap on these drivers at least, so he just needs to pick one off on each lap, and he should be in a very good place.
Yeah, Collier very late onto the brakes going to turn 1. He saw that his opportunity to take the lead is right in front of him now, so I'm expecting him to be a little bit more aggressive, but I think Hussein is going to surprise us all and try to take first right from under these guys' noses.
They've got 4.5 seconds now to Connolly. No disrespect to Shane, but I don't think Shane is one of the top drivers from this from the series, and so they should be all right. O'Shea's back on circuit, although he's still on the lead on the first lap.
Oh no, Graben spun! Graben has spun, and they make contact with Hussein, and Collier is way off in the lead now. Hussein might have damage on his front right of the car after making contact with Graben, and oh, this might have just turned this race on its head.
Hussein, initially, it looked on my screen like he lost his front wing. However, iRacing has corrected itself, so he hasn't lost his front wing. Hussein was so slow here, Graben losing it by himself. And Hussein was just, I mean, how did he still hit him, Hussein? I mean, he was going at walking pace, and he still didn't avoid the number 14. And fortunately for Graben, he hasn't got too much chance, but I'm concerned for Hussein's straight line speed now. This will be a good indication of what it's like.
Yeah, straight line speed at Road America is incredibly important, but the draft is even more important, even if you have damage, and Collier is battling with Hussein, and Hussein looking around the outside now as they're going side by side across the line.
That looks like a straight line speed for Hussein. He's pulling ahead. Here comes Collier back down the inside. We saw big contact at this corner earlier on, which eliminated one driver. Fortunately, you don't see it this time. And look at O'Neill as well. I ruled out, Connolly. O'Neill's gone up 2 places, I think, on that lap. And lapped 2 seconds faster than these drivers on the last lap. So he is catching up. But here comes Hussein again from the rear wing of Dave Collier. His final race of the season, remember. Just lifted off, I think, did Hussein. Now he goes to the inside. Massive lunge on the inside. Has he got it stopped? It looks like he's going to be able to get the move done. Back comes Collier now to the outside. Right to the inside goes Hussein. That's going to be very slow. He's painfully slow on the apex, but he's got it done. And that was a lovely move. You love to see a dummy, and that was perfectly executed.
A lovely dummy and a masterful send down the inside. He put in so much speed into that braking zone. I thought he was going to jump off the track completely, but he managed to send it and then block Collier on the exit, and Hussein is in the lead now, especially after that wonderful defense on that apex. But now Collier, as we're racing up to Canada Corner, he's going to have that draft to catch back up to Hussein.
I think now that Hussein's got that gap up to 7/10, this is what we saw in race 1, when it was Hussein versus O'Shea. Once Hussein got the gap up to 7/10, O'Shea couldn't. The draft effect wasn't strong enough for O'Shea to keep in touch. Going up to 1 second now, which is very weak draft. If you're 9/10 behind coming out of the final corner, you've got a good chance of catching back up, and he's still within a second, which is where the slipstream really starts to kick in. But the relative isn't coming down a whole lot, and this is looking very good now for Naveed Hussein to get his first double of the season, which would be a spectacular result for him, which we think would secure the championship. Again, not 100% sure on the championship. Might be able to get a word from one of the admins or someone in the chat just to confirm that one. But it's looking very good for Hussein, who has established himself as probably the fastest driver in this series during the 6 rounds. Graben is now catching up to Connolly after that earlier spin.
Yeah, Graben trying for a good, what's the word? Comeback story right now. And he's up into 4th, heading into turn 3, down up onto the inside. Actually made the move on Shane Connolly on the straight, and he's up 10 spots.
Yeah, lots of places already gained for him so far in this race. But yeah, you're saying up 14 places, that's absolutely mad. I mean, the top three, 14, 8, and 8 places gained so far, thanks to Sam Kuhn for just displaying that. And Hedeman in the middle of the field, exactly in the middle. And it's just the happy guy he's saying there, McKenna, who we know is quick. What could have been for Patrick McKenna? I mean, he got involved. In fact, if this race that might wait a lap or so, just to wait till for the gaps to open up. But it might be good to get some replays of that opening lap because it's wiped out some of our main rivals, McKenna and O'Shea. Very quick round today's circuit, but not being able to show it certainly in this race too.
Yeah, Road America is a very tight circuit. Not a lot of opportunities to go 2 to 3 wide. Certainly, it has the space to go 3 wide all around the track, but in a racing situation, if you're going 3 wide or 2 wide into some of these corners, it's going to cause a massive gaggle right behind you, and that's just definitely going to cause a massive incident. And Road America is incredibly flow track, and when you're by yourself, you just fly. And speaking of flying, Navdeed Hussein, new fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes, 0.84.
Yeah, only slightly faster than McKenna, but it's still a little bit faster. I wonder if you get the track temperature up on the screen for a moment. We saw this really prominent last time at Watkins. It's not actually increasing. I think it's got cooler. 39 degrees track temperature now. I think it was at 42 midway through race 1. So it's actually got cooler, which is surprising because usually in iRacing and in real life, it gets warmer and warmer until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But so far it's got a little bit cooler. That might be due to a little bit of cloud cover for the track, and of course iRacing with a very in-depth layer system. They have like 12 layers of heated track or something. McKenna's into the pits, and that is very strange. Not sure why he's done that. Graben and O'Neill, meanwhile, battling one another. I think Graben just getting ahead of Rob O'Neill there. And he is. He's up into 3rd place, and still a top 2 for Sergey Graben. It's still possible for him.
Yeah, we got a... This is why. He's got a drive-through penalty. That's why McKenna went into the pit lane.
That was for an incident with Shane Connolly. And Connolly's doing fine now. Connolly's, well, Connolly is down 3 places from the start, to be fair, but he's still in 5th place, only about 12 seconds off the lead. So I'm surprised that that penalty's been given, because it looked as though McKenna lost out. But if it was McKenna's fault, absolutely deserves the penalty on that one if it did negatively affect Shane Connolly right there. O'Neill not being dropped by Graben, and from this distance, back 3/4 of a second, this is very much still within draft range.
Yeah, O'Neill looked like he was going to try and make a move going into the final corner, but he's definitely running with Sergey Graben right now and going to try to stay in that podium spot. So he's definitely hoping for an incident, a little bit overconfidence from Graben or Collier ahead. I don't think Hussein's going to even be risking anything right now, even though he's setting purple after purple sector.
He has made mistakes before. I think he had a spin at Watkins last time out, did he? Saying that may have been a collision with another driver, to be fair. But he's not... You wouldn't necessarily put $1,000 on him to win a race, or a tenner for him to win a race. And we all know, Austin, how you shouldn't do betting when it comes to saying if a driver's going to win a race or not. Otherwise, it leaves you in debt for years.
You still owe me $10 from that.
Yes. I'm not Sam. See, I've told you this before.
But you are Sam.
I've just got a similar voice and a similar name. It's just coincidence, Totally different bloke. No connection. James Clark, you remember he finished in 4th place in race 1. Another driver who I think deserves a bit more from Stab. 4th place is a good result. But we know they had a lot more pace than the 3rd place driver in race 1. And he didn't wasn't quite able to show it in the end. He had a collision as well at the start of this race, I think. But at the moment driving very well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very hard to find a driver who wasn't involved in that opening lap incident. It pretty much involved almost everyone, from what I could see. And Montero taking a bit wide. Oh no, McKenna's off.
He's had the pace, but he's made too many mistakes.
Oh, that
was
snap
that on the
oversteer.
grass?
I
That wasn't on the grass, was it?
I don't think he got onto the grass because he actually turned in. The back end didn't rotate out. It was just a little bit too fast in, and he snapped oversteered. So I think that was just a little bit too much confidence heading into turn 1 and trying to push the car as much as possible, because these cars are a little bit tricky sometimes. Sure, you got that wing that's up there into the air, and it does give you some downforce, but even with that wing, it's not planting your car into some of these corners. You're going to have to fight some mechanical grip to get this car to get turned.
They do look like very spectacular cars to drive, because we often see it in the Formula 3 cars. They're constantly glued to the ground. I mean, there's never any sliding or anything. Whereas these things, you do see the sliding. You do see, especially when they go in from high speed into a quite tight corner. They're really kind of almost sideways, almost a little bit of opposite lock into through the corner. So they are fantastic to watch. Not quite with the same downforce levels, I think, of the Formula 3 cars, but on that occasion, just not enough grip. For McKenna to recover, O'Shea moves up into 11th place, Shine up into 12th. McMullen in 6th place. He's onto the back of Shane Connolly now. On that last lap, he was 1.2 seconds faster than Connolly, so this one feels like a matter of time.
Yeah, as we down to the inside, going to look for a great move. Indicator that corner, and he's definitely way down there on the inside. Going to be riding up onto that curb. Watch out on this exit because he might get a switchback, but he positioned himself so well that Connolly didn't have any runoff speed to try to jump McMullen with that switchback move, because McMullen just kept his car down to the inside and destroyed the line of McConnelly.
Still in the draft though is Connolly, 6.5 tenths of a second back. So he might be able to respond, but I think McMullen, in the long run, is going to be able to get well clear. Strange that we've got so many McMullens. We've got 2 McMullens in this race. I assume brothers. Yeah, I've also got a McMullen in the ARC Super Series as well. He's a pretty good driver as well. So it's a good racing driver's name, clearly. Colin now 1 second behind, so that's not too much. I don't think he's going to be passing any time soon. I wonder if we could go back then to lap 1 to just have a look at some of the instances. Maybe look from the chopper camera, as long as the chopper doesn't go crash into the cheese bridge. That would be disastrous.
Yeah, somebody who loves cheese, that would be a shame.
That would be, yeah. Could maybe be called the great helicopter crash of 2020. The great.
Oh no, Sam.
The great.
Oh no, not.
Oh, that was lovely. Love it.
No.
Sorry about that. So yeah, we were just seeing a replay of the race start then. Apologies, I couldn't quite see it on my screen, but I'm sure you viewers saw it as well. Austin, can you see it?
No, because I actually wasn't in the session when the race started. I was still loading in.
That does make sense. But I'm sure you viewers have seen just a quick rundown of kind of of all the collisions that occurred. We saw Heidemann crash into O'Shea. Those two were involved in a big collision, and we've had plenty of collisions as well since. I think Masterson as well also could have been involved in that one. As we go back to live pictures, 8 seconds now for Hussein. Wow. Credit to Collier. He's very consistent. He's always 2-minute 2.3, kind of the low 2-minute 2s, but Hussein is just in a different league.
Yeah, Navadeed Hussein, consistent, different league. That car that he's running and that setup that he's got is absolutely
well. It's a fixed setup. It's a fixed setup as well, so it's just down to him.
That line that he's running is just absolutely on lock right there. I think I commentated him first myself. But he is coming up to some traffic, so your performance behind another car is definitely going to be very decisive. Now, this is just one car, but you can see how all these cars are spread around the track. Second and third, Collier and Grabin are closing in on each other.
So I'm just looking at the championship, thanks to Jack Kinane and Dane Baird for showing me the points. So going into this round, Rory O'Shea was leading the championship by 14 points, 313 points to 299. Now, Hussein beats O'Shea in race 1, first place versus second place. So that immediately takes out 10 points from the lead. So going into this race, it was 4 points that O'Shea led by. So Hussein had to beat O'Shea in this race, and O'Shea had an awesome launch. He was up 6 places within 2 corners, was O'Shea, but then got caught up in that instant. And that might be the thing that decides this championship, because at the moment Hussein would comfortably win the title, just because of O'Shea being down in 11th place. To be fair, if Hussein won the race, no matter that O'Shea wouldn't be able to win the race whatever he did. So Hussein has certainly done everything that he had to do in order to win this title. So I can say he's going to be the Digital Motorsports Amateur Champion in this Indy 2000s car.
The PM18.
The PM18, there you go. Is that the Pro Mazda 18?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Makes sense.
So we're looking at Dave Collier and Grabin. The battle for second is alive as well as we just constantly check in and out of Navadine Hussein. And we got a lap 1 incident penalty for Henderman. It's a drive-through penalty. Henderman's sitting he's actually out of the race.
Yep.
So,
and that was for a collision with car number 15, Rory O'Shea. So that's kind of what I thought. I think it was Hederman who spun round, and then O'Shea collided with him. That's what really cost O'Shea in this race. So yeah, penalty there. However, I mean, it's the end of the season. I mean, what are you going to do? You're not going to arrest the bloke, are you? There's very much limited things you can do for the last races. Here we go for Grabin. Easily past Collier, loads of overspeed. Will Collier come back into Canada? Remember, whoever's behind, you probably want to be behind at this point, though, don't you, Austin? Because it's going to be so easy to slipstream past down the pit straight.
Yeah, the draft is so important here. Grabin's in a very good spot. You just got to maximize his exit coming out of the final corner, then up the hill here at Road America. Grabin all the way up to the gearbox. Swing down to the inside and almost grazing the pit wall. Side-by-side drag racing as we go into lap 12 of 15 here at Road America for the Digital Motorsports Pro-Am race here in the Indy Pro 2000. And down to the inside, there was almost a little bit of contact with Collier. Collier turned in very early and making contact with Sergio Grabin, who was down to the inside. And Grabin up to second, but look at his back right wheel. The back left wheel looks a bit off. I think that's iRacing playing with me, though, but there definitely was some contact between them.
I didn't see any damage, but we know that iRacing can be you can easily get damage on the wheels on iRacing. I think as long as he gets to the next couple of corners with it not folding underneath the car, I think he should be alright, and if he does like that, he's alright.
Dave's car is going very slowly, though. He might have some damage on a side pod.
See how easy O'Neill gets, but I think he's just struggling right now, Collier, to really recoup after that second place. Remember, he's been by himself for the majority of this race, seeing some really consistent times. And so for him to be making this amount of mistakes is quite strange.
Something's
That's
wrong with
an
that car.
unusual line. Yeah, I think you're right. He's playing a lot of steering. Like, I think through the right-handers, he's really struggling.
Yeah, it was a right-hander that he was involved in, and yeah, he's definitely going to be struggling. Yeah, there is some damage on that car because he's going very slow, and O'Neill is so close to him right now, and O'Neill's seeing that he's struggling. He's not going to make a move going into K another corner. just wants to be very easy right now. But let's ride on board of Rob O'Neill as we come up these few S's and get to see that Collier going very wide, and he's going to be struggling through this final corner.
I don't know. It's difficult to judge, isn't it? Maybe he's just struggling down the straights. He did seem slow down the straights, but O'Neill's not gaining a whole lot. Here comes the toe.
Oh,
Maybe he is struggling a bit. Or that could just be the draft, to be fair.
No.
The wheel is covered off, and he almost got sent into the pit wall. That was Hungary 2010. Barrichello Schumacher-esque there, with Collier moving across pretty late to defend the move. And that's why O'Neill's a little bit skeptical. He knows that he's got the paces.
Very late exit for Collier. Collier hesitant off the exit, coming out of turn 2. And Grabben says, thank you very much. I'm going to pull away, and I don't want to be blocked by you anymore.
Absolutely. So O'Neill clear, and Collier now half a second behind. I don't think he'll be able to keep up. Difficult to tell if he has got any damage to it. I don't think they made contact with there. Collier,
there was contact, definitely.
Okay.
I think he might have some floor damage, side pod damage on that car, because don't see anything aerodynamic, but that right side pod might be kinked in, and that will explain a lot why his top end speed is so slow.
He does just seem to run wide at all of the right-handers. Maybe it's just his driving style. I don't know. Where he leans on the tires a lot, where he puts in a lot of steering lock into the wheel.
A lot of Fernando Alonso 2005.
There you go. Very interesting. I mean, he kept that throughout, didn't he? But that was a weird tactic, yeah, where you turn the wheel and just wait for the grip to arrive.
Yeah, that driving style is incredibly weird, but glad he doesn't do that in Indy 500 anymore.
Yeah.
You try that, you're just tailspin.
Yeah, I don't think he'd survive long doing that one. I've just got to ask you here. We've got a couple more laps to go, but I would say, have you seen the top 20 best qualifiers of all time in Formula One? The list that they released.
I actually haven't seen that list.
Okay, well, you should look at it. You should. I think Alonso ranked 5th on that list. Only behind, or maybe 4th? No, I think he was behind Senna, Schumacher, Hamilton, and Verstappen on that one. Alonso positioning in 5th place on that. By the way, absolutely laughable that was, but we all knew that it was. Anyway, we digress. We get back on topic now. Because it's Navid Hussein who is on course for the title. A title that really should have been his throughout. Remember, he has won every single race won this season. 6 rounds. I think one of them was, we had the oval round, of course, didn't we? So, to be fair, only 5 kind of double headers. But Hussein, has won every single one. He's got 50 points in each of the race ones, but the races just haven't been going his way. He got 32 points in the first, second race, which I think is only like 4th place, and then I think he got, I think he got about 8th place in the next race too, and then 8th place again, and then 3rd place last time out in the race 2. So he hasn't won a race 2 all season long, which when you see him dominate like this, it's difficult to imagine how that hasn't been the case, but he's certainly been the fastest driver this season as he moves on to his final lap of the race, his coronation lap almost, to take this title.
Yeah, you're seeing domination like this in race 2. It's kind of a give and take that if he has a clean lap, he will finish this, but there is such a thing called the feature race curse, where you do great in the sprint race and then the feature race, you just cannot get it right. But the man with the license to kill number 007, Navid Hussein, white flag this time by at Road America, just has a few more corners to go. Let's see if he keeps his head in that good space right now and doesn't let the excitement get to him, because that feature race curse could still come alive.
He's got a big gap at the moment. O'Shea's a lap down. No, oh no, he's not a lap down. Sorry. I thought we were going to have 2007 F1 Brazil-esque, where the championship is like decided
no.
the lap before, because Hamilton was a lap down. So it's like Hamilton can't actually win the championship from this point. That's it, as it wasn't that day. But we're not going to have that. We're not going to have that. Still, Hussein needs to reach the line in order to win this race and take the points he needs for the title. Final lap here from Masterson to get past Collier. Collier, remember, running up in second place for much of this race.
No!
And they make contacts and they hit each other right at the end. We are going to have to change to Hussein though, because the champion in waiting is about to take his crown. Naveed Hussein, after 6 meetings of racing, he took race 1 as he always does, but for the first time he's going to take race 2 and he's going to take the points he needs to become the Pro-Am champion in the Indy 2000 PM18 car to take the title. Congratulations to Naveed Hussein. He is the Pro-Am champion in digital motorsports, and he's done